out, share the mic, all that good jazz. All right, you guys, keep this mic right on rolling. We're down to our last 3 or 4 comedians. Need you guys to keep the energy going for our next comic, Matt Murphy.
So I'm super excited that I've been able to be here, and over the past few months been hanging out and doing my little thing. I did want to say that I want to apologize for constantly talking about, raising money and give us money in our water projects, but I'm a pastor, so it's just what we do. Give us money. So, but in seriousness, my wife and I, Victoria, we go around and we try to raise money for and awareness for clean water projects in developing countries around the world. So I figured since we're all up here practicing, well, it's just should be fair that I practice what I preach. Pastors they're stereotypically really bad at not practicing what they preach, and also they're just always talking about money. But seriously though, I really do appreciate being here and getting the pity laughs for my first time in comedy. I've been on stage, but it made me think, what if we got a pity laugh every time it was our first time? Like, you're sitting there and you're trying to drive a stick up a hill, and then you look over and your dad starts laughing. Okay, no, that actually happened. That sucks. But what was worse than that is the first time I preached a funeral sermon. I got a pity laugh. So I'm a pastor, and we don't have a church currently. I just call when I introduce myself, I say, "Hey, I'm Pastor Matt," and they're like, "Oh, great! Where's your church?" And I'm like, "I don't have one." And it's weird because the word pastor means shepherd. Like there are supposed to be people there, and I don't have any people. And I realized that, me calling myself pastor would be like if you are at Panera and somebody runs into you and they're like, "Oh, hey, what do you do?" And you're like, "I'm a comedian." And I'm like, "Great, where have you been? Where are you headlining? Like, what cruise have you been on?" You're like, "I do open mic night." So I realized, I'm as much a pastor as you all are comedians. It really went over well in my head. Speaking of wells, so since we've been back from the island of Saipan, we were living there, and since we've been back here, we've been going to camps and conferences and churches, raising money for water projects in developing countries. And so a water well is $1,500, and I was like, okay. So I was thinking to myself, what do we purchase for $1,500? So how can I compare, and is it a lot of money? So I was thinking, you could buy a crappy car with $1,500. I've actually bought a couple of them. And so I was like, okay, well, what else could I buy with $1,500? Well, you could buy 500 gallons of gas, or in California, 250 gallons of gas, or during an election year, 1,000 gallons of gas. But I was like, okay, well, how far will it take me? Well, if I'm driving a Honda, I could probably get 15,000 miles. Or if I'm driving a Dodge truck, I might get to Kentucky. But what if you want to go? You're okay flying, you're okay being around a ton of people. You can take a family of 4 to Disney World with $1,500. Or if you're not okay flying and not okay being around a ton of people, with $1,500, you could build a playground in your backyard. You could probably afford at least 4 2x4s and a piece of plywood. Maybe you could build a slide. Okay, so, I was thinking to myself, I said, Self, we've been to churches, we've been to camps, we've been to conferences raising money for water projects, and I said, well, where else could I go? I got an idea. I could come to a comedy club. That's a good idea. It's not. Let me tell you, trying to raise awareness and money for a social justice issue overseas in a comedy club is it's like trying to raise awareness and money for a social justice issue overseas. I'm up here and I'm like, hey, help us send money overseas. And then people get up here and they're like, it's broke week. Help me afford my water bill. So, I thought to myself, I'm like, well, maybe we could just ditch the running water events overseas. Get it? Ditch water. Maybe we can like ditch that and instead start a new fundraiser campaign for comedians and their water bills. And it's going to be called Stand Up for Water, because water bills are not a joking issue. That was the big punchline. All right, thanks everybody.